What are you doing here today?
Is this some kind of setup or something?
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the most intense run-ins with Chris Hansen on To Catch a Predator or Crime Watch Daily.
Oh, I'm not angry.
You're coming across in a very angry and authoritative sense.
Number 10, Brian Gosselin, aka Bay Jones. This 32-year-old was one of the many troubled yet gullible individuals who fell right into Dateline's trap. Despite claiming he knew it was a setup the moment he saw Chris Hansen, Goselin was still brazen enough to show up to what he thought was the house of a minor.
I got some wine coolers.
Wine coolers are just fine.
You weren't kidding when you said a big house.
I know, the house is beautiful. I love my house.
Yeah.
His chat with the decoy was lewd, bizarre, and often passive-aggressive. During the investigation, he tersely remarked that he wasn't wanted here, before indignantly storming off.
See, I knew this was going to be a setup.
You did?
Yeah.
How did you know that?
Just because of the way she was talking online.
Goselin's standout moment came when Hansen asked him about his last name, to which he responded,
I don't have a last name.
You don't have a last name.
"Oh, that's convenient." Number 9, Michael Joseph Patterson, aka John Raven 2000. This quote-unquote lonely Indiana native claimed to be a detective lieutenant, but as it turned out, there was more to his story. Shortly after starting an online chat, Patterson drove over 5 hours to the Sting House in Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Now, we have to assume that John Raven 2000 is a police officer and he's armed.
In addition to claiming he was an officer, he had told the decoy that he always carried a gun, which understandably raised concerns for the investigative team. Upon arrival, decoy Casey was directed to make Patterson prove he wasn't armed, but not wanting to take any chances, the police tased him during his arrest. As it turns out, Patterson had been a reserve cop, but had been dismissed.
I got some blue-red lights and I put them in my car. It was thrown out of court, so they dismissed me for that.
Number 8, Michael Willis, aka Generic White Male. The Fort Myers investigation sure attracted some colorful characters, but perhaps none more so than this cookie-loving 49-year-old.
What do you mean? I'm just on my way to the beach.
He's Michael Willis, screen name Generic White Male.
After chatting with a perverted justice decoy for more than a week, Willis decided he wanted to book a hotel room with Jolanda. He arrived at the Sting House in high spirits, munching on cookies and barely looking fazed by Chris Hansen. That is, until Hansen let Willis know he had the transcript of his illicit chat.
What? No way.
You know, I have the transcript of your conversation with Jolanda.
From there, Willis spitefully flung his cookie and rushed out the door, tripping down the stairs in the process. Yeah, and the sucker never made it to the beach either.
I don't want this cookie. I just want to get to the beach.
Come here, just 1 second, sir.
But Generic White Male won't be going to the beach today. As he heads out the back, he stumbles off the porch right into the arms of the Fort Myers Police Department.
Number 7, Maurice Wolin, aka Tall Dreamy Doc. Even on To Catch a Predator, it's rare that we see such a spectacular fall from grace. And we're not just talking about this guy's margarita or sunglasses. Prior to being caught in the Petroluma, California investigation, Wolin was a respected physician and cancer researcher with a wife and 2 daughters. When he showed up at the Sting House, he spilled a blended drink all over the bar.
I can't. Oh, jeez.
So where are you coming from?
San Francisco.
While looking for a towel, he spotted the Dateline camera crew and bolted for the exit. But police caught up with Wolin, prompting him to throw his sunglasses to the ground in frustration.
He runs, but he doesn't get very far.
Oh,
Needless to say, Wolin's appearance in the episode didn't do his career any favors.
oh man, I wasn't doing anything.
Get his keys.
I wasn't doing anything.
Number 6, Rabbi David Kay, aka Red BD. Because Kay was a well-respected religious leader, his case is particularly disturbing. During the second To Catch a Predator sting, which took place in Fairfax, Virginia, the rabbi was busted for coming to meet what he thought was a teenage boy.
What are you doing as a man of God, as a rabbi, in this house, trying to meet a 13-year-old boy?
I'm really, I don't want to do anything that's going to further make you angry.
He discovered the decoy while, in his own words, prowling for young men on the internet. Chris Hansen seemed rightfully disgusted with the middle-aged man, whose job as a rabbi was to maintain the trust of people in his community.
I am not interested in getting any further. This is not something that I've done.
You've never done this before.
As soon as the camera came out, Kay leapt to his feet and demanded they stop filming. He proceeded to try to sue Dateline and left several threatening messages to the crew. Not that they were really intimidated.
You don't want to touch anybody. You don't want to.
It was really one of the only times, really, where somebody actually physically lunged at me. Now, looking back, I really don't think I was in much danger.
Number 5. John Michael Dupre. To Catch a Predator's spin-off series on Crime Watch Daily may have aired nearly a decade after the original investigations, but Hansen vs. Predator proved the epidemic was far from over. A former UPS package handler, Dupre juggled conversations with not one but 2 decoys, using cringe-worthy nicknames like Boo and Baby throughout.
What'd you bring? What did you bring?
Presents.
What do you got? Show me.
He had his unsuspecting sister drop him off at the Sting House in Fairfield, Connecticut, where he brought the actress Cheetos, Snapple, and dark chocolate.
So what do you want to do?
A hug?
I don't know.
An exceedingly awkward confrontation with Chris Hansen followed, but not before Dupre could request a hug from the decoy. Due to his heinous behavior, Dupre ended up serving several years in prison.
What do you think should happen to you?
Sir, I'm not like that and a bad guy. Trust me.
How does this look? How does that look? John, you tell me, how does it look?
Number 4. Walter Bapst, aka Kinky Man in Corona. Every once in a while, we meet a potential predator whose occupation makes us especially uncomfortable. In this case, it's Walter Bapst, or John Hunter, an alias, who was in fact a high school teacher before being caught in the To Catch a Predator web. His chat with perverted justice was extra graphic. When Hansen appeared, Bapst oscillated between proclaiming his innocence and begging to be arrested on the spot.
Why don't you have a seat right over there, please? And right away.
I'm under arrest?
No, I want to talk to you. Go ahead, have a seat.
Amazingly, he went back to teaching only a few days after the investigation, though it didn't take long for the school to find out what Bapst had been up to, besides getting his ass kicked.
But when I tell him that I'm Chris Hansen with Dateline NBC, and we're doing a story on computer predators. Now, if there's anything else you'd like to say, he knows that this is even worse than getting arrested.
Number 3. Lauren Armstrong, aka Lauren A20014. The final Dateline sting saw one of the longest chat logs in To Catch a Predator history. Across 407 sickening pages, Armstrong solicited, manipulated, and declared his love for a young decoy named Kayla. He also exposed himself via webcam and requested she delete all evidence of their communication.
But he clearly knows what he's doing is wrong, telling her to delete all evidence of their chat log.
Okay, delete your archives and remember, Mrs. Kayla Marie Armstrong, I love you more than anything.
On Armstrong's 37th birthday, he opted to celebrate with the teenage Kayla, whom he seemed utterly delighted to meet. His encounter with Chris Hansen was filled with nervous laughter and a clumsy attempt to blame his actions on a past catfishing experience.
After she got off the phone, she was only on the phone with her for about 2 minutes, and she got off the phone with her and told me that she wasn't real.
She wasn't real.
She told me she was lying to me, and she'd been lying to me all along.
Did you ever meet this woman?
10 years after his arrest, Armstrong tried to capitalize on his infamy by starting a YouTube channel, which went about as well as his attempt to meet the decoy. Many happy returns, Lauren.
Throw me a bone here, and I hope your minds are off sexual crap. 'Cause I'm talking, help me out a little bit and support me away from the NBC crap.
Number 2, Todd Spikes, aka Loves to Eat Your Peach. Interestingly, Spikes never actually came face-to-face with Chris Hansen at the Flagler Beach Sting House. But perhaps that was for the best. A police officer himself, Spikes carried on a detailed conversation with the girl he believed to be a minor named Lindsay.
You better not tell anyone.
He responds,
I won't, sweetie. I can't. I'd go to prison, and that's like a death sentence. Inmates hate cops. They try to kill them in prison.
In addition to mentioning explicit acts, he proposed moving in with the girl and becoming her mother's boyfriend.
Spike says he could become the mother's boyfriend, come to live at their house.
Amazingly, it got even more terrifying when police searched Spikes' car. They found numerous firearms, about 800 rounds of ammunition, and what appeared to be a body dump kit. We shudder to imagine what might have happened if Spikes hadn't been caught.
There was probably an angel sitting on everybody's shoulder that night.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1, Clifford Wallik, aka Photo Fix. As depraved as these actions already are, bringing your kid along adds an entirely new level of sociopathy. And to everyone's shock, even Chris Hansen's, that's exactly what Wallik did during the investigation in Fort Myers, Florida.
I'm not going to pursue this.
The final visitor of the day, Wallik horrified all involved when he exited his SUV with his young son in tow. Knowing immediately this was a unique situation, the team sent Hansen out right away to tell Wallik what was happening. Wallik was promptly arrested and his son separated from him by police. According to Wallik, it was all his wife's fault due to a lack of intimacy in their marriage. Nice job, Father of the Year.
Please give me my son, please.
Did we miss any unforgettable To Catch a Predator encounters? Why don't you take a seat and we'll talk about it in the comments.
What's up with that? What do you think ought to happen to you?